It takes confidence and courage to be true to you. You have a strength inside, somehow you always knew. You can hold your head up high. Don't be afraid, you have a source of power that you cannot deny. Even when you feel paralyzed, your hull is oversized and you feel compromised. Just take one step at a time, then let out a roar, let the other stuff go, and let yourself soar, overcoming resistance and pain by accepting the truth in you, that you are radiant, radiant. Put your metal to the pedal for the journey you have found yourself on. Grab a hand, hold on tight, it's a beautiful day. Hope on, hope on, hope on, hope on, hope on, hope on,
Thank you. My name is Gloria Miller, and I am the Director of Religious Education here at Bay Area Unitarian Universalist Church, and my pronouns are she, hers. Today's story for all ages is entitled The Wednesday Surprise by Eve Bunting and illustrated by Donald Carrick. I like surprises, but the one Grandma and I are planning for Dad's birthday is the best surprise of all. We work on it on Wednesday nights. On Wednesdays, Mom has to stay late at the office, and my brother Sam goes to basketball practice at the Y. That's when Grandma rides the bus across town to stay with me. I watch for her from the window. And when I see her, I call, "Sam, she's here." And he says it's okay to run down the long stairs and wait by the door. "Grandma," I call. Anna, she's hurrying, her big cloth bag bumping against her leg. We meet and hug, and she tells me how much I've grown since last week, and I tell her how much she's grown too, which is our joke. Between us, we carry that lumpy bag upstairs. On Wednesday nights, we have hot dogs. "Have you heard from your dad?" Grandma asked. "He'll be back Saturday, same as always, in time for his birthday." "His birthday?" Grandma raises her eyebrows as if she had forgotten all about that. She's some actress. When Sam goes, she and I do the dishes, and then we get down to business. I sit beside her on the couch, and she takes the first picture book from the bag. We read the story together out loud, and when we finish one book, we start the second. We read for an hour, get some ice cream, and read some more. Grandma gives me another hug. Only 7 years old and smart as paint already, and I'm pleased. They're all going to be so surprised on Saturday, I say. When Sam comes home, we play card games, and when Mom comes, she plays too. "You'll be here for the birthday party," Mom asks as Grandma's getting ready to leave. "Oh yes, the birthday," Grandma says vaguely, as if she'd forgotten again, as if we hadn't been working on our special surprise for weeks and weeks. Grandma's tricky. "I'll be here," she says. Sam walks Grandma to the bus stop, and as they're going down the stairs, I hear him say, "What have you got in this bag, Grandma? Bricks?" That makes me smile. Dad comes home Saturday morning, and we rush at him with our happy birthdays. He's brought Sam a basketball magazine and me a pebble, smooth and speckled as an egg, for my rock collection. "I found it in the desert close to the truck stop," he says. "It was half covered with sand." I hold it, imagining that I can still feel the desert sun hot inside of it. How long did it lie there, and what kind of rock is it? Dad has stopped to pick wildflowers for Mom, and they're wilting, so she runs to put them in water. And then Dad has to go to bed. He's been driving his big truck all through the night. While he sleeps, Sam and I hang red and blue streamers in the living room. We help Mom frost the cake. We've made Dad's favorite dinner, and our gifts are wrapped and ready. I watch for Grandma, and I help carry the bag upstairs. Wow, Sam should feel how heavy it is today. Grandma's brought a ton of books. We hide the bag behind the couch. I am sick from being so nervous. Are you feeling well, Mama? Dad asks. How are your knees? Oh, fine, my knees are fine. Dad blows out the birthday candles and we give him his gifts. And then Grandma shoots a glance in my direction and I go for the big bag and I drag it across the table. I settle it on the floor between us. Another present, Dad asked. It's a special surprise for your birthday, Dad, from Grandma and me. My heart's beating awfully fast as I unzip the bag and I give the first book to Grandma. It's called Popcorn. I squeeze Grandma's hand and she stands and begins to read. Mom and Dad and Sam are all astonished. Dad jumps up and says, "What's this?" Mom some and pulls him down. Grandma has the floor. She finishes Popcorn, which takes quite a while, gives the book back to me, and beams all over her face. My goodness, Mom's beaming too. When did this wonderful thing happen? When did you learn to read? Anna taught me, Grandma says. On Wednesday nights, I add, and she took the books home and practiced. You were always telling me to go to class, Grandma says to Dad. She looks at Mom. You must learn to read, you say, so I came to Anna. I giggle because I'm so excited. And Grandma reads and acts out the Easter pig and then the Velveteen Rabbit. It's much smarter if you learn to read when you're young, she tells Sam. The chance may pass all along with the years. Sam looks hurt. But I can read, Grandma. Nevertheless, she takes out another book. Are you going to read everything in that bag, Mama? Dad asked. He's grinning, but his eyes are brimming with tears, and he and Mom are holding hands across the table. Maybe I will read everything in the world now that I've started, Grandma said. I've got time. And she winks at me. The keeper of our flame is Natalia Ramirez.
You know, Gloria's brilliant because I knew how that story ended. We picked it together, and I still teared up. We have some community news today, and there is some heartache here in this place. We will begin this time by lighting our red candle, our candle of community. Yesterday, we celebrated the life of Frank Cooper, and the flowers today are in his honor. This coming Saturday, we will celebrate the life of Louise Peck. And fresher news that may not be known to all of you, yesterday, Bob Handy died. And so today we are grieving. We're grieving with 3 families, but especially with Bob's family today, with the loss so recent and so sharp. Let's hold a time of silence now for all our sorrows and our griefs. In this time of grief and sorrow, may we remember that we are never alone in it, that we are part of this community and also part of the great community of humanity, that loss and sorrow are part of our lives and we are never, ever, ever alone in it. This morning, we also light our white candle for peace in a world sorely lacking in it. We light it for nations at war, but also for all peoples under threat, for individuals who live with fear and violence in their lives. We light it as a promise to ourselves to seek out ways to build a more peaceful and just world, here in our own corner of the globe, but also afar. I invite you now to bring your own griefs and sorrows and also your hopes and your dreams and your joys to this place. We all come bearing all the things of our lives, all the bits and pieces of the week behind us, all the worries and the hopes for the week ahead. And it's those things that make up the woven fabric of this place. So whatever you've brought in the door with you this week, whether joy or sorrow, hope or fear, bring it, light a candle, and we will witness it with you. you please join with me in prayer? Infinite mystery moving through all things, seen and unseen. You are the power of love that connects us, one to another. We come this day with hurting hearts, aching with our own sorrows, but also the sorrows of the world. The sorrows of California, where so many have lost and are still losing everything. The sorrows of our war-torn world, where so many tremble with fear from moment to moment. Yet there is sweetness too, in the ways we take care of one another, showing up, listening, holding hands, bringing meals, and offering shelter. There is sweetness in the rain that greens our grass. There is sweetness in birdsong. Spirit of life and love remind us that we must remain open-hearted to experience the sweet with the bitter, to know the fullness of this mysterious life we have been given. Help us to remain tender even in the face of suffering, so that we can also be tender in moments of delight and joy. May it be so, and amen. Our prayer in song today is number 88, Calm Soul of All Things. Please remain seated.
Our reading today is entitled Telling, and it's by Laura Hershey. What do you risk telling your story? You will bore them. Your voice will break. Your ink will spill and stain your coat. No one will understand. Their eyes become fences. You will park yourself forever on the outside. Your differentness, once and for all, revealed, dangerous. The names you give to yourself will become epithets. Your happiness will be called bravery, denial. Your sadness will justify their pity. Your fear will magnify their fears. Everything you say will prove something about their God or their economic system. Your feelings that change day to day, kaleidoscopic, will freeze in place, will brand you forever, justify anything they decide to do with you. Those with power can afford to tell their story or not. Those without power risk everything to tell their story and must. Someone, somewhere, will hear your story and decide to fight, to live, and refuse compromise. Someone else will tell her own story, risking everything.
I am very much a lover of stories. Chris could probably tell you about the number of times I've been lost in a book, and Chris has to get my attention, and I'm lost, I'm in the story. My mother also says the same thing, and when she would ground me as a child, she would often take away my books instead of grounding me from TV. TV was not nearly as important to me. So when I went to college, the first thing I did was become an English major. I love stories so much. I did learn fairly quickly. I don't like writing papers about stories, which is actually what being an English major is. I ended up switching to history thanks to some really, really excellent professors who really, I think, did a lot of good work to teach me how much history is also a story, and how history is written in the same way, with choices being made about what plot points are important and what characters matter. Facts exist, but what they mean is debatable and slippery. I had a really marvelous historiography class where we would ask about each historian: who is this person? What's their agenda? What do they want to accomplish when they write history? And so we learn history like it's this immutable thing. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. But that's actually a series of choices someone made about what it was important to tell you happened. Historians are choosing which events to pluck out, deciding certain dates and people are important. And we know that fiction isn't fiction if it's just a series of events. This happened, this happened, this happened. It's a story with a real plot if we tie these things together. This happened, which caused this to happen, which affected these people in a way, and then there's conflict and characters and story. Now we have meaning. We human beings orient ourselves this way. We orient ourselves this way with history, with the fiction that we read, but also with our lives. As we move through our world, we encounter people and events that become characters and plot points. Our individual lives are nested stories that tell us who we are and where we come from. When people in studies are given a list of facts to memorize, they might get most of them. But if they're told a story that includes all those facts, they remember them. Our brains just work this way. We like patterns. We like narrative, we like cause and effect. We'll create it when it isn't there. And in addition to our individual narratives, we have family stories, we have community stories, we have national stories, and we have our places in those stories, healthy or unhealthy. We understand ourselves as part of these relationship systems. And maybe our place in it is the character or an archetype. Some of us might have been the helpful one, or the smart one, or the not helpful one, or the rebellious one, the anxious one in our families of origin. And we don't always notice when we're assigning archetypes to people. That's kind of how implicit bias works. And it happens in these social stories because, again, our brains just make narrative happen. And we're the main characters, and we apply labels to everything around us. Again, it's just how our brains work. No one's sitting around saying, I'm going to flatten that person into a one-dimensional character, but our brains just do this. We do it to other people, and we also do it to ourselves and the stories we inherit, the stories we're given, and when we accept the labels other people give us. Just as historians go back and delve into our material past over and over to arrange and rearrange, we can do the same with our own stories. The things we've made into a story in our minds is, at its core, simply a series of events. We are the ones who assign meaning. And when we stop and we pause, we can make choices about what meaning we're assigning and why we're doing that. Those of you who have experienced certain forms of narrative therapy may have done this on a really deep personal level. You may have experienced that moment where a therapist stops you in your tracks and says, but why? Or says, yes, and a story changes or is enlarged for you. And the therapeutic goal isn't to paper over the past pain and to change the meaning entirely with a snap. The goal is to discern in that story something that is useful and helpful to our future selves. Dr. Jonathan Adler of the Olin College of Engineering, he calls these redemptive stories, where we discern an arc from event to something we've learned or somewhere we've grown. He did a meta-study of psychological studies, and he found that people who could do this had a greater sense of personal agency in less momentous, character-defining stories, just throughout their lives. People who could discern these redemptive arcs felt like they had the power to do things and to make things happen. And they also had a greater sense of connection to others, a greater sense of relationship, probably because they could also unpack some of that tendency to flatten and make one-dimensional the people around us. The ability to do this kind of story crafting led to greater well-being for the participants of the studies, although causality is hard to untangle. But there does seem, regardless of causality, to be power in our ability to make our lives coherent, even when they're not. There's a wonderful quote from Joy Harjo's memoir. She is an Indigenous woman and a poet laureate. And she says, at some point, we have to understand we don't need to carry a story that is unbearable. We can observe the story, that's mental, feel the story, which is physical, let the story go, which is emotional, then forgive the story, which is spiritual, after which we use the materials of it to build a house of knowledge. Use the materials to build a house of knowledge, to mine the past, our past, for meaning, to use it to learn something true about ourselves and the world. I think we all know that it's easier to give advice than to follow it, to fix someone else's problems instead of our own. Fortunately, that means really interesting things happen when we engage with other people's stories. Sometimes our own are a little harder to work with. In recent years, there have been so many studies about the way our theory of mind and empathy develop when we read literary fiction. The idea is that as we immerse ourselves in the lives of others, even in a purely made-up fictional form, we learn something true about people. We may remember, in fact, that we are not the main character in everyone's life, that everyone else is also a main character. And we may realize how many people are experiencing very different stories than we are. There's clearly some kind of relationship between spending some time in the heads of other people and understanding the people actually around us in our lives. There's some argument about literary fiction versus genre fiction, which I suspect comes down to that sense of interiority. We've all read brilliant genre novels that have that, and we've all read many that don't, and that's fine. They don't have to. That's really more of a matter of quality than genre. The studies might indicate that people who read fiction about the lives of others are already interested in the lives of others, but I think it's more likely that the relationship works both ways, that we stretch in ways that are nuanced and variable. The stories that stay with us, the ones we remember years after we've read them, they tap into that primal thing in us, that urge we have to make everything a story. It ends up telling us something true at a deep primal level. The satisfaction of justice served, the romantic happy ending, but also sorrow and tragic drama. The stories that stay with us face difficult things and make something of them. There's a marvelous G.K. Chesterton quote about fairy tales. And he writes about how fairy tales are not the reason children are afraid of the dark. Children are already afraid of the dark. What fairy tales give the child is his first clear idea of the possible defeat of the monster. The baby has known the dragon ever since he had an imagination. What the fairy tale provides for him is the St. George to kill the dragon. The most vital thing in terms of our day-to-day living that we draw from stories, our own and the stories of others, is that sense of agency, that sense of the possibility of change, of hope in something different happening. Whether we find it in fairy tales or our own life narratives, we have to do that work to find the places where there are meaningful choices, where we can unearth the materials to build Harjo's house of knowledge. As we move into whatever 2025 may hold for us, I suspect that at times many of us are going to feel powerless, and we're going to wonder what agency we have to shape our world. I think we will also at times feel that truth is a slippery thing, and we will feel unmoored in our media and political environment. Stories remind us who we are. Our personal stories have the capacity to remind us where we are strong and powerful, to remind us that we are tender and caring, and that we have the ability to choose who we wish to be in this world. And when we can hold on to those things, we can bring them here to our communal story in this place and share them with each other as our collective narrative project. We can tell and retell the stories about what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist, to be a Texan, to be whoever we are called to be in this moment, to affirm and reaffirm that it's we who decide who we are. We get to decide what our lives mean. We are, for example, a people of the chalice. We have a story about our chalice, and we tell it again and again to remind ourselves of hope and of courage. We are a people of transformation, and we tell each other stories about how our lives were changed, and we tell the stories of how our congregation has changed our little corner of the world, and we remind ourselves that we have collective power and strength. We are a generous people, and we'll tell those stories too around stewardship season when we plan our financial future. We are a compassionate and a kind people, people fighting for justice. We are so many things. And maybe not consistently, maybe not all the time, but we're going to choose to tell the stories where we are so we can learn to be better at being all of those things. In this moment where certain people think they get to decide what truth is, where they get to decide what is right or good or valuable, we can say no, we get to decide who we are and what we value. And because we are a people of pluralism and democracy, and we value each and every voice and perspective, that sense of who we are as a people only comes to fruition when we each bring our stories into this room, when we bring all of who we are into this place. In order to be the people we need to be and the people we want to be, we need all the stories. As we look to the days ahead and the discouragement we know we will face, delve into your own individual stories. Delve into the stories of others and look for moments when you or others have changed the unfolding narrative arc through action, through interpretation, or simply by making it into a story at all, and draw upon that. And then bring it here and share it with us. And we'll share ours with you. And in that moment of holy alchemy, I hope we will be able to continue the work of building our own collective house of knowledge and wisdom, so we can be the people we wish to be and do the many, many things we need to do in the days ahead. Amen, and may it be so. All right, my friends, we are a generous people. And one of the stories about who we are is we are a do-it-yourself people. We're not part of a larger movement that funds us. What we do happens from our own pockets. So give as generously as you are able to help us continue our work in the world.
This song, I Believe, is based on a poem written by a Jewish prisoner in a World War II concentration camp. The poem was found on a wall in either a cellar in Cologne or the Auschwitz prison camp. The song was set to music by Mark A. Miller, who composed it as a testament to the power of love over hate. The song's lyrics include, I believe in the sun even when it's not shining. I believe in love even when I don't feel it. I believe in God even when he is silent. I believe through any trial, there is always a way. The song's minor key melody and lyrics symbolize the hope and despair of human conditions. The poem's words have come to symbolize hope in the face of the Holocaust's despairing circumstances.
I believe in the sun. I believe in the sun, even when it's not shining. I believe in the sun. I believe in the sun, even when it's not shining. I believe in love. I believe in love, even when I don't feel it. I believe in love. I believe in love, even when I don't I believe in God. I believe in God, even when God is silent.
Please join me in blessing our offering. This gift from the abundance of my life blesses me, our ministries, and the world. Thank you. And now it is time for our announcements. Join us this Wednesday, January 15th at 5:45 p.m. for a delicious dinner at the church. Enjoy great food and even greater fellowship. Our menu includes kid-friendly favorites, hearty omnivore options, and vegetarian and vegan dishes, something for everyone. Bring your family, invite your friends, and share a warm, welcoming meal together. All are welcome, and we can't wait to see you there. After dinner on Wednesday, January 15th, stay for a special screening of the documentary, The Night Won't End, at 7:00 p.m. in Cockrell Hall. This impactful film examines the civilian toll of Israel's military operations in Gaza and the role of the United States in the ongoing conflict. A short discussion will follow. Want to meet new people, welcome visitors, and enhance our church hospitality? Join us next Sunday, January 19th, for lunch and greeter training after church in the sanctuary. New and current greeters are encouraged to attend. As a greeter, you'll welcome newcomers, guide them to the sanctuary, staff the greeter table, escort visitors to Cockrell Hall after the service, and connect them with others in our community. Please RSVP to membership at bauuc.org for meal planning, but feel free to attend even without an RSVP. Next Sunday, January 19th at 12:30 p.m., join the UU Silent Book Club in the youth room. Enjoy the perfect mix of reading, resetting, and connecting. We'll start with a light lunch for 30 minutes, followed by an hour of quiet reading. For the final 30 minutes, we'll share book recommendations and discuss what we're reading. Bring your favorite book, beverage, yoga mat, and even a pillow if you like. After service today, join us for a special coffee and fellowship. We'll be celebrating our religious education teachers with cake and snacks. This is a great chance for you to show your appreciation for their dedication and to mingle with our community over coffee and treats. Visitors and members are all welcome. Let's come together to share quality time as a community. After coffee and fellowship, families, parents, and children are invited to a family potluck lunch in Cockrell Hall. Bring a dish to share and enjoy great food and fellowship. While the kids play under supervision, parents can join discussions on parenting topics. Didn't bring a dish? No problem. There's plenty to go around, and we'd love to have you join us. Stay in the loop with everything that's happening here at BAUUC by subscribing to our weekly newsletter. This is sent every Tuesday. It's filled with news, updates, and event details. Sign up using the QR code on the screen or visit bauuc.org. Don't miss out. Our closing song is number 295, Sing Out Praises for the Journey. Please stand.
my benediction and charge for all of us comes from Reverend Sherry Woodbury. May we have the courage to speak or write the stories within us that need to be told, the stories that make up our lives. May we listen with a loving mind and heart to the stories of others' lives, others here in this church and others in our wider community and world. Let us choose with care the stories we teach to our children, remembering that all of our stories have power and that all of our stories are connected, for all of life is one. In the name of all that is sacred in these gathered hearts, may it be so. Go in peace and blessed be.